Hey, what's up? We're going to be talking about low iron levels and how it actually relates to ADHD, why you should actually be checking it, because this is something that's so crucial that I see all the time with my patients. So please watch this if you have any kind of concerns as far as having low iron levels, and it might be related to your ADHD. So let's get started right after this intro. Welcome back, my Optimal Mind performers and my Optimal Mind leaders. I am Dr. LeGrand. If you are new here, I grew up with ADHD and dyslexia, and today we're going to be talking about low iron levels as far as how it can be related to ADHD. But if you are new here and want to reach Optimal Mind performance, we talk everything about ADHD health, personal development, other things as far as, entrepreneurship, as well as helping with like relationships with ADHD. We talk about all the different strategies here on ADHD and other types of personal development. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as well as hit the bell notification button. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. So let's go ahead and get started right now. So I'm going to share a story of my very first patient that I saw that had ADHD in medical school. And this kid, he came in and he had all the typical signs as far as just having ADHD. He was very inattentive, very hyperactive, impulsive, but he also would have spurts of being very fatigued. He would crash. And so this was kind of unusual for, somebody that has ADHD to kind of have these moments, but it's not as unusual as you think. And, I was kind of inquiring to my professor or the doctor who was on that shift, because this was an ADHD autism shift that I was on. And I was asking her, what she thought, because I tried a lot of different things and wasn't kind of getting the results that I wanted to see. And I noticed, and she noticed also, that he was very pale. And so we decided to run some tests, and we started to run iron levels. For a child, usually this gets bypassed by a lot of doctors because low iron levels are seen more in adult women more than anything. You don't see it very common with males, and definitely don't see it as common with kids, but it is more common than you actually think. And so we ran those levels, and sure enough, his iron levels were definitely all over the place. They were low, and there was definitely different other issues going on of contributing to him being anemic. Once we actually discovered this, we started, of course, implementing treatment plans of changing his diet, implementing things to increase his iron levels, supplementation, other things to help kind of change lifestyle changes. And just within just like a month, the next time I saw him, it was like night and day. He was a totally different kid, and you would not even think he had ADHD at all. In fact, his diagnosis initially was not quite the right diagnosis because he'd been dealing with this low iron level for so long that he wasn't impulsive, he wasn't hyperactive, and he didn't have all the common symptoms that are common with ADHD. Therefore, he had more of a low iron deficiency issue versus actually having ADHD. Now, I'm not saying, okay, you don't have ADHD, you have low iron levels. You have to check to see if you first have low iron levels, check with your child, or as an adult, you can also check to see. It's a good thing to rule out. It's something that I do with my patients all the time to be able to make sure, rule that out, and I see it time and time again. And just from that story alone, I realized from that point on that anytime I saw somebody that had ADHD, especially a child, that was something I was going to run. And I continually do on a consistent basis when I see patients come in with ADHD, is to run those iron levels just to make sure it's ruled out, because I actually see it more often than I would think and more than what you would think. And because of that, it's really made a big difference for a lot of my patients who do have ADHD, and does make a difference when I tell other people that they should be running this test to help people with ADHD. Now, it might not be all of a sudden, okay, you're anemic instead of ADHD. It could be a combination of both, where you have both anemia as well as ADHD, and they present with the same symptoms. Let me explain why it's so important to understand when somebody has low iron levels or are anemic. And there's lots of different types of anemia, and I'm not going to go into detail about that today. But when you look at those symptoms, they do present with brain fog, could be impulsivity, hyperactivity, a lot of different things as far as even fatigue that can present. So a lot of your inattentive type of people can have those issues. So this is why you can kind of see there's a correlation, or at least something that's very similar to a lot of ADHD symptoms that present the same way as somebody who has low iron levels. And that's why it can get missed so much by doctors, because once you have that diagnosis of ADHD, guess what? Doctors will kind of look at, okay, it's all up here, so we got to change the prescription. They're not going to look at other things in the body that could be possibly out of balance, such as having a low iron level. So that's why it's so crucial to be able to understand that they can present the same way, and that's why it should be run for all children and even adults who have ADHD, to be able to just rule it out. And the last and final thing why it's so important to be able to actually rule this out is that low iron levels actually hinder development for a child. because iron is really important for the development of a child when they are going through development stages. And when you have low iron levels, this can hinder the brain development of the activity as well as other parts of the body. You can see how by just having that can cause actually effects of ADHD or other things that could be contributing to slow development in a child. It could be they have a low iron level and it did cause the ADHD, or at least presented symptoms of ADHD. And once you actually do understand that there could be a possibility, and then you figure out, okay, you run labs and you find that it is, then at least help stopping that process of hindering development in your child or even for an adult. So I hope you take this serious, because I see this a lot with people with ADHD. Something, if you have not done it, please do it. If you have a child with ADHD, please do actually run it. And if you're an adult and you've never run your iron levels, still run it just to kind of rule it out, to have that peace of mind. Now, if you're looking for other further guidance as far as, okay, well, what other labs should I be running, or what other things should I be taking that I haven't thought about? Well, I have created an actual free downloadable guide that has all the labs that you should be running if you have ADHD, as well as other nutrient supplements that you should be running. And it's all in the description below. And I have one that is a guide for basically parents who have kids with ADHD, or if you're an adult that has ADHD, they're all in the description below. I hope you found today's video very informative and helpful. And until next time, this is Dr. LeGrand signing out. And remember, you have an optimal mind. Thanks. Bye.